Back everyone, the iPhone SE 3rd generation ended up coming out, as most of you probably know. So let's go and do a camera comparison between the iPhone SE 3 and the iPhone 10 and see which specific camera is better. Now there are some differences with the layout of both these cameras. So with the iPhone 10 we had a dual camera setup, a 12 megapixel wide and then a 12 megapixel telephoto lens, which does allow us to pretty much zoom into the specific camera a lot, or into the photos a lot. With the iPhone SE 3rd generation, we do actually have a single wide angle lens. So it is a single sensor, not like a dual camera setup we have on the other phones, but this may end up giving us more capability, maybe better quality because of that Apple A15 Bionic chip. And those are the big things that I've been pretty much looking at between all these cameras. Is the Apple A15 Bionic chip doing that much better comparison, doing that much better quality? Now they both can do 4K at 60 on the back, both can only do 1080p on the front, so definitely some similarity there. Now the way this camera comparison worked, I took all the photos at the same time pretty much within seconds to one another. I tapped the focus, I waited until I got the best photo on all of these, and I pretty much compiled them. So the iPhone SE 3 photos will be on the left, the iPhone 10 photos will be on the right. Now starting off with this first photo, there really isn't anything that stands out to me immediately except for the overexposure on the iPhone 10. So we zoom into the same spot on both these phones, again, pretty much the same exact time I took it on both these cameras. So with the iPhone 10, it did overexpose quite a bit on the iPhone 10 side rather than on the iPhone SE 3 side, but I do think it's okay. Sunlight can differ sometimes, but it looks like the rest of the photos were almost identical, so it could have been just the iPhone 10 not doing a good job with the camera quality in this specific point, but it's totally okay. The rest of the photo though looks kind of the same. It looks like the dirt on the iPhone 10 looks a little bit darker, which could be a good sign in some areas, but the iPhone SE 3's dirt looks a little bit more crispier, if that makes any sense. The background of the photos look pretty much identical as well. The little chair back here looks pretty much the same. Not really seeing too many differences beyond these ones, but definitely the overexposure on the iPhone 10 side. And after looking at it, it could be that the sun, slipped out a little bit too. Could be that, but I guess let's kind of see what happens when the next couple of photos. So this next one, completely utter disgusting quality. I took in some really bad lighting just to see what the quality was, with these types of lenses. And immediately I can tell that the iPhone 10 looks a little bit darker. And this was something that I was kind of expecting for these older cameras. I was expecting more grainier photos and a little bit more darker photos too. And here in this case, that's kind of what I'm getting. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. If you look at the curtain right here, there really isn't a whole lot else kind of going on here. They kind of give me the same impression, which is totally cool. The graininess and everything is pretty much the same as well. Although I am saying that the brown thing here is looking a lot more better on the iPhone SE 3 than on the iPhone 10. So this photo, definitely give it to the iPhone SE 3. This next photo, I actually already see some differences as well. So again, kind of decent lighting, nothing super crazy. But with the iPhone SE 3, I'm seeing that the colors look a little bit more vibrant. The colors look a little bit more punchier as well, which is really good to see. One thing that kind of stood out to me too is if you look at this specific portion, it does kind of look to me that the iPhone SE 3 does look a little bit more in focus and not necessarily grained out as the iPhone 10. You can see right here, it is actually quite grainy compared to the iPhone SE 3, where it's not as grainy right here. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. You're seeing a little bit better quality on the iPhone SE 3 for sure. And even with these flowers, why are the flowers so grainy on the iPhone 10, And that could be because it is an older phone, it's 5 years old at this point, but it does look like the quality and the improvements with something like the iPhone SE 3 and the Apple A15 Bionic chip, there's some better improvements here with this specific camera, which is really, really nice. Even the flowers up in the top right, I'm sure will look a little bit better on the iPhone SE 3, and they definitely do. So when it comes down to these photos, definitely with the iPhone SE 3 here. Now this next photo I took again at the same time, and you can see how both of these phones kind of differentiated both of these colors. The iPhone 10 photo looks substantially darker than the iPhone SE 3 photo. So if I go and zoom into this leaf and I zoom into this leaf, you guys can tell without me even having to do anything crazy. The leaf looks, I think they both look pretty good, but I think the iPhone SE 3 looks way more of that moment, like way more accurate than how the iPhone 10 looks. So with the iPhone 10, this thing looks like it was like midnight or something right here, right? Or maybe like closer to like day, like dark time. This was like noon when I took this photo. And even with this background right here, like if I zoom into like this portion right here, I zoom into this portion right here, not only is the leaf so much better, I think, in focus on the iPhone SE 3, but also the water looks better on the iPhone SE 3, but also the background and the graininess look better on the iPhone SE 3 as well. This is still a little bit of grain going on with this phone, even though we were outside, but the iPhone 10 looks a lot less in focus, and I wasn't expecting to see this big of a difference, but these are substantial differences for this type of phone. So again, I wasn't expecting it, but that's actually a pretty big difference right here. So In terms of this photo, and especially for outdoor types of photos like these, the iPhone SE3 does a really good job with these types of photos. So that kind of covers it up on that one. Now this next one, again, taken outside, nothing super crazy. We pretty much just did pretty much the exact same thing. And immediately, again, I can't really tell super crazy differences. The iPhone SE3 looks a little bit wider, brighter, a little bit, as I mentioned. The iPhone SE3 looks a little bit wider and brighter, I think is the way I was describe it before. So these look pretty good. Not really much else going on different between these two. So I'll definitely say not one really sticks out to me the most, but that kind of covers up that one. Now this next photo, again, really good lighting, outdoors, all that good stuff. And immediately I'm already still able to see that the iPhone SE3 does look substantially better than the iPhone 10, at least in the camera standpoint. So looking here, I mean, it looks way more in focus. Looks like the colors look a little bit better on the iPhone SE3. If we start zooming into like these specific portions right here, you can also see that something like the iPhone 10 looks a little bit more grainy. I'm not really too sure what to tell you. It looks a little bit more dull. It looks a lot cooler in color as well, which sometimes is good. In this case, I don't think it looks too good. Now, if we zoom into this leaf right here, I mean, you guys tell me, like, I don't think the iPhone 10 looks all that great, to be honest. These were stationary items, they weren't moving around. And again, I try my best to take these photos in the same exact conditions. And the iPhone 10 just doesn't really do that good of a job anymore, which is kind of a sad thing. I love the iPhone 10, but the camera here just does not really look that good. Another thing I've been kind of looking at is with this specific portion right here, and just kind of comparing how both of these kind of blurred out the background here. And both of them did a pretty good job here too, not really anything crazy. I will say with the iPhone 10, it does look a little bit more blurred out, I would still say, from that background. But the iPhone 10 photo just looks a lot more grainy, and I'm definitely more in love with something like the iPhone SE3 photo than with something like the iPhone 10 photo. And this next one, nothing crazy again, just took it off this whatever this light post was. And both of them look pretty good. I don't think really any of them stand out to me as one being way better than the other one. But the iPhone 10 again looks a little bit more dull. And again, this is something I've been saying time and time again. It's not the end of the world, but with something like the iPhone SE3 photo, it looks a lot better here. So this could be another side and another aid going for the iPhone SE3 than on something like the iPhone 10. But the iPhone 10 photo doesn't look bad either. I would just say that the iPhone SE3 photo looks a lot better here. Now finally, I took this photo in portrait mode, and neither one of these I don't think support portrait mode on animals. Although the iPhone 10 does look like it kind of blurred out the background a little bit better, that's actually kind of strange. I was not expecting that to be a little bit better here. But natively, I don't think either one of these support portrait mode on animals, but I could be totally wrong. But it looks like the iPhone 10 did blur out a little bit of the background. So I may give the edge to a little bit of the iPhone 10 on this one. Both of them look pretty good. I don't think the dog looks that much better on the iPhone SE3. They both look about the same thing. So I think that's probably some stuff going for the iPhone SE3, but with both of these, they look pretty good. If I zoom into this paw right here, both of them look good. There really isn't one that stands out to me the most. I will say though, the iPhone 10 did a better job because it was able to blur out the background, where the iPhone SE3 was not able to blur out the background. So maybe I'll give it to the iPhone 10 for this one. But to kind of compile my thoughts of this whole entire video, and to be completely honest, I think the iPhone SE3's camera really surprised me today. I was not expecting this camera to be this much better than the iPhone 10. I was expecting the iPhone 10 to be better in every single way, and really it was only better one time, which was with like that portrait mode animal that we just saw. Other than that, the iPhone SE3 pretty much annihilated the iPhone 10 today. The only thing that the iPhone 10 really has going for it is that portrait mode. That's probably the main thing. But also with that telephoto lens, that's still a really good lens to have, and I would love having that lens rather than not having it. So I think that's a big thing to keep in mind as well. But with something like the iPhone SE3, it's pretty decent. It's a decent camera. Still, I think it's a little bit overpriced, and I think the iPhone 11 has a better camera than this thing. But the iPhone 10, this is when you're starting to see some pretty big differences. So I think that kind of covers it. If you have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.